Hello Blues fans, welcome back to the Blues Hub, your trusted destination for the latest Chelsea transfer news and updates from Stamford Bridge. Today we have a major update surrounding Diogo Costa and Chelsea, as fresh reports have raised questions about whether the Portuguese goalkeeper could still become a target for Xabi Alonso. There has been plenty of speculation surrounding Costa, but what is the real situation right now? Is Chelsea actually negotiating with Porto, or has the club decided to continue with its current goalkeepers? In this video, we break down the latest information and explain exactly where the Diogo Costa to Chelsea story stands. So stay with us until the end and don't forget to subscribe to the Blues Hub, like the video, share it, and tell us your opinion in the comments. Let's get into the latest Chelsea news. The Diogo Costa story has become one of the most discussed goalkeeper situations surrounding Chelsea this summer, but the latest information requires a careful distinction between interest, media reports, and an actual transfer negotiation. Chelsea's name was strongly connected with the FC Porto goalkeeper at the beginning of August. On August 5th, Sky Sports reported that Chelsea were considering a move for Costa with a reported release clause of around £51 million. That immediately created speculation that Xabi Alonso could be preparing to make the Portuguese international. His long-term number, Costa, is an attractive option for Chelsea because of the profile he offers. He is an experienced international goalkeeper, comfortable with the ball at his feet and accustomed to playing under pressure for Porto and Portugal. For a coach such as Alonso, whose teams are expected to build from the back, those qualities are particularly important. However, the story changed significantly after the initial reports. Chelsea's position became much clearer. While some reports suggested that Chelsea had moved into negotiations with Porto, stronger subsequent reporting pushed back against the idea that an advanced agreement existed. One report citing Fabrizio Romano stated that claims of an advanced or imminent Chelsea deal were not accurate, with no active negotiations taking place between Chelsea and Porto at that stage. One report citing Fabrizio Romano stated that claims of an advanced or imminent Chelsea deal were not accurate, with no active negotiations taking place between Chelsea and Porto at that stage. Transfer feed! That is a crucial detail for Chelsea supporters. It means that headlines suggesting Diogo Costa is close to Chelsea should not be treated as confirmation of a transfer. There was genuine interest and Costa was being discussed as a possible target, but that is very different from Chelsea reaching an agreement with Porto. There were also reports claiming that Chelsea had considered preparing a bid of around £60 million. One Football reported that the club was carefully considering the possibility of signing Costa, while other reports suggested Porto would demand a figure close to his release clause. But again, consideration of a bid does not mean that a bid was actually submitted. Why Costa remains an attractive target? The goalkeeper position has been one of the areas Chelsea have continued to discuss during the summer. Costa would represent a major investment, but he would also potentially solve the position for many years. His ability to distribute the ball is particularly relevant. Alonso wants his goalkeeper to participate in the first phase of possession rather than simply remain on the goal line. Costa's passing range and composure make him suitable for that kind of system. He also brings considerable experience despite being relatively young for a goalkeeper. His performances for Porto have established him as one of Portugal's leading goalkeepers, while his international experience has increased his profile considerably. That explains why Chelsea's name appeared so prominently when the goalkeeper market was being discussed. Porto's position. The other major factor is Porto. Costa is not a player Porto would simply allow to leave cheaply. Reports have repeatedly pointed toward a release clause in the region of €60 million, equivalent to approximately £51 million depending on the exchange rate. That gives Porto significant protection. If Chelsea eventually decided that Costa was the goalkeeper Alonso wanted, the negotiation would therefore have to revolve around whether Chelsea were prepared to meet the financial demands involved. Earlier reports claimed Chelsea could consider an offer below the clause, while Porto would prefer the full amount. Football place. The biggest problem with the current story. The biggest issue is that different reports have described completely different situations. Some outlets reported advanced negotiations and even suggested Chelsea could move quickly. Other, more recent reporting pushed the story in the opposite direction, saying Chelsea were not currently pursuing Costa and that the club had effectively played down the speculation. Xabi Alonso has also played down speculation surrounding Chelsea's goalkeeper position, further weakening claims that a Costa transfer is already close. Therefore, the responsible conclusion is this: Chelsea have been linked with Diogo Costa and have considered him as a potential goalkeeper target, but there is currently no reliable confirmation of an agreement with Porto, no confirmed transfer fee, and no "here we go." For Chelsea supporters hoping to see Costa at Stamford Bridge, the door is not necessarily closed, but the transfer should not be presented as a completed or imminent deal. And that distinction is particularly important because several reports published earlier this month created the impression that Chelsea had already entered advanced negotiations. What could happen next? The situation could still change quickly if Chelsea decide that goalkeeper is a priority. If Alonso and Chelsea's recruitment department determine that Costa is the ideal long-term goalkeeper, the club could reopen the situation and approach Porto formally. At that point, the story would move from reported interest to concrete negotiations. The key signals to watch would be Chelsea making a formal approach to Porto, Porto confirming or responding to an offer, agreement over the transfer fee, personal terms being negotiated with Costa, a medical being scheduled, finally official confirmation from Chelsea. Until those steps begin to appear through reliable sources, Chelsea fans should treat the Costa story as interest rather than a done deal. And this is where the transfer becomes particularly interesting. Chelsea may genuinely admire Diogo Costa, but the latest information suggests that admiration has not yet turned into a confirmed transfer operation. The Diogo Costa story has reached an important stage because the latest reliable information does not support the idea that Chelsea are currently preparing to sign the Porto goalkeeper. Instead, the strongest current reporting points in the opposite direction. Sky Sports reported on August 5th, 2026 that Chelsea were extremely happy with their existing goalkeeper options and would not be making a move for Diogo Costa. Sky Sports, that report, is particularly important because it came after the initial wave of speculation linking Costa with Stamford Bridge. Why did Chelsea's name become linked with Costa? The connection was logical. Chelsea have been assessing their goalkeeper department while Costa has established himself as one of the leading goalkeepers at Porto and with Portugal. Reports suggested that Chelsea were monitoring him as a possible long-term option. His reported release clause of approximately €60 million also made him an identifiable target rather than an impossible signing. Football place. But monitoring a player does not automatically mean a club intends to buy him. Chelsea's recruitment team can monitor several goalkeepers simultaneously while ultimately deciding that the players already at the club are sufficient. That appears to be what has happened with Costa. Xabi Alonso's decision becomes crucial. The arrival of Xabi Alonso naturally increased speculation about Chelsea's goalkeeper position. Alonso's football places considerable importance on technical quality, possession, and building attacks from deep. That makes a goalkeeper's distribution and composure important parts of the tactical structure. Costa fits that profile extremely well. He is comfortable receiving the ball under pressure, can distribute accurately, and has considerable experience playing for Porto in high-pressure matches. Therefore, Porto in high-pressure matches, therefore, from a purely footballing perspective, it is easy to understand why his name attracted attention. However, Alonso has reportedly played down speculation about Chelsea signing a new goalkeeper. From a purely footballing perspective, it is easy to understand why his name attracted attention. However, Alonso has reportedly played down speculation about Chelsea signing a new goalkeeper, Tribuna. That changes the situation considerably. Instead of Alonso demanding a new number one, Chelsea appear prepared to work with their current goalkeeper options. Robert Sanchez remains important. One of the biggest questions surrounding this story is Robert Sanchez. If Chelsea were to spend approximately €60 million on Costa, it would represent a major statement. Costa would not be arriving simply to provide competition. A transfer of that magnitude would suggest that Chelsea considered him a significant upgrade and potentially their long-term first-choice goalkeeper, but Chelsea appear unwilling to make that commitment at the moment. Sanchez, therefore, remains an important part of the current goalkeeper picture. The club's decision also means that the pressure on Sanchez will increase. With Alonso now in charge, every player is effectively being evaluated under a new tactical system. Sanchez will need to demonstrate that he can provide the consistency and ball-playing ability Alonso expects. Mike Penders could be the hidden reason. Another important name in this story is Mike Penders.